Hi, I'm Donatella Versace. I accepted the Ice Bucket Challenge. Pepper.
Donatella Versace is an Italian fashion designer, philanthropist, and eternal muse of her legendary brother Giovanni Versace. Her name is familiar to both fashion experts and ordinary people who are distanced from the world of fashion. Today, I will tell you about Donatella Versace's life and how much she earns. Although haute couture is a field that requires huge investments, the profits from fashion shows and clothing sales often exceed the amount invested. That is why all famous designers are millionaires, and Donatella is no exception. The eternal muse of Giovanni Versace owns 20% of the company, valued at $280 million. However, this is only a small part of her massive fortune. The total value of her assets is almost $500 million. Additionally, half of the brand's shares are owned by none other than Donatella's daughter, Allegra Versace. In 2018, the designer decided to sell Versace to Capri Holdings, but remained at the helm as chief creative officer. The buyers had to pay a huge price for the brand, more than $2 billion. At 66, Donatella actively posts on her Instagram profile, which more than 8 million people follow. Donatella has a passion for luxury apartments, and her collection of residences is envied by many of the rich and famous. The total value of her real estate is about $25 million, but she does not stay in one place for a long time and prefers to move from one place to another. Her latest purchase was the luxurious Villa Mondadori in northern Italy. For a long time, the house remained without an owner, only occasionally receiving tourists, until it was sold to the famous designer. The approximate price of the purchase was $5 million. The estate was once owned by Arnoldo Mondadori, the founder of the largest publishing house in the country, and after his death, hosted famous writers such as Ernest Hemingway and Thomas Mann. Many of these guests left their signatures on the main fireplace, which can still be seen today. The total area of the house is 1,400 square meters and includes 50 rooms and 12 bathrooms. The windows offer stunning views of the mountains and the lake, and outside there is a well-groomed garden, swimming pool, and football field. As aforementioned, Donatella does not stay in one place for a long time, so she most likely comes to the home for a few days to relax and enjoy the silence and beautiful views of nature. Donatella has built an incredible and worthwhile career in the fashion industry, but she has suffered a great deal of loss in her personal life. As a result, she considered her brothers Giovanni and Santo, as well as the entire Versace team, to be a real family. It is reported that in 1983 she married Paul Beck, a model for whom she met on the set of the brand's advertising campaigns. In 1986, the couple had a daughter, Allegra, and 3 years later, a son, Daniel. Giovanni Versace, their uncle, doted on his nephews and included them in his will. Allegra, who inherited half of the shares of Versace, will eventually become the new head of the brand, and her brother Daniel will be able to open any business he desires, as he owns a large and rare collection of paintings by Gianni. As for Paul and Donatella, they divorced in 2000, and since then, she has not been able to find a worthy partner. Donatella was very close to her brothers. Together they created a fashion empire, Versace, where everyone had their own meaningful role. Donatella supported Gianni for many years, helped him with PR, offered her advice on models, and inspired him to create collections that the whole world admired. It is to her, the striking blonde, that the blonde perfume and the Versace youth line are dedicated. It is worth noting that Donatella's natural hair color is far from platinum blonde, but for more than 50 years she continues to dye her hair and does not even remember her real color. She decided to change her image at the age of 11 because her brother convinced her that being blonde would really suit her very well. As a result, she has become the most recognizable blonde in the fashion industry, and she would hardly be recognized if the public saw her with a different hair color. It is hard to believe, especially because she is responsible for the production of a fashionable clothing brand, that Donatella Versace does not know how to sew. This greatly distinguishes her from Gianni, who created many collections with his own hands. However, this did not prevent her from building a successful career and managing a huge company on her own for more than 25 years. It is clear that in fashion, it is more important to understand the business and marketing side of the industry, which is learned in a different way than sewing. Versace was the first fashion house to invite famous stars and successful fashion models to its shows. This is a result of Donatella's brilliant ideas, whose work was aimed at making as many people learn about their brand as possible. Many believe that it was she who created the era of the supermodels of the 90s, among which are Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista, and Christy Turlington. In those days, catwalk models were paid very little. However, Versace was not stingy with money and gifts, which produced successful and unique results. All the newspapers and TV shows reported about the revolutionary Versace fashion house. Donatella herself selected and invited celebrities, which allowed her to connect with many notable stars: Beyoncé, Madonna, Jennifer Lopez, Demi Moore, Christina Aguilera, Lady Gaga, and others can often be found amongst the guests at Versace shows. Many superstars regularly appear in advertising campaigns and enjoy wearing the brand's clothes. The legendary blonde always inspired creativity in the entertainment industry, as did her brother. For example, in one of the albums of Donatella's longtime friend, Lady Gaga, there is even a song dedicated to her personally and named after her. Could a dog become the main face of the fashion house's advertising campaign? Indeed! It is possible if her owner is the world's most famous fashion designer. Donatella is hardly the same without her terrier, Audrey. The pair are almost never apart, and she takes her pet with her to shootings, on flights, and to events. Audrey seems to know more about fashion than most of us, so it's no surprise that she is great at posing. This is affirmed by the Versace capsule collection dedicated to the Year of the Dog in 2018. In the photos, the model dog tries on a backpack, wears bags and t-shirts, takes a shower, and much more. According to Donatella, Audrey is a very intelligent animal and a highly respected member of their family. High fashion is almost always about luxury and eternal youth. As the heiress of a huge fashion empire, Donatella has no problems with the former, but it is hardly possible to achieve the latter. During her youth, Donatella's beauty was admired by many, but her constant desire to meet accepted standards of beauty led her down the wrong path. Several restricting diets and plastic surgery have changed the appearance of the famous blonde immensely. She has done rhinoplasty, mammoplasty, and changed the shape of her lips while injecting huge amounts of Botox and collagen. This has led to unnatural facial expressions and a deterioration in the condition of her skin. In her pursuit of beauty and youth, injections and facelifts became a necessity. Despite these external changes, the designer remains a kind and generous person. She is actively involved in charity work, although she does not frequently discuss it. In 2017, she founded the Gianni Versace Scholarship, which helps cover tuition fees for students at the Central College of Art and Design in St. Martin in the UK. However, the Versace family did not always have the opportunity to donate huge amounts of money. Donatella was born into the family of a financier and a dressmaker on May 2, 1955, in the town of Reggio di Calabria. She was the youngest of 4 children in the family, and from an early age, she spent hours in her mother's atelier with her brother Gianni. After graduating from university, Donatella became a PR manager for her brother's company. They say that Gianni did not trust strangers, so he reserved important positions in his company to those close to him. For almost 20 years, she has been responsible for photo shoots, advertising campaigns, and promoting of Versace, causing the brand to become one of the most recognizable in the world. After the tragic death of Gianni Versace and a long investigation of the case, the company's reputation was damaged, and for some time, they were inactive. Later, Donatella became the head of the company, and in the first few years, she searched for a new direction for the brand. Soon after, Versace returned to the front pages of newspapers and magazines. Donatella has developed many successful advertising campaigns and created costume designs for world-famous stars. She also expanded her ventures to architectural projects, including the creation of Palazzo Versace in Australia and in the United Arab Emirates. Today, she is one of the richest and most recognizable fashion designers in the world, and with her at the helm, Versace continues to be among the most famous fashion houses. Well, that's all for today. What other interesting facts about Donatella Versace do you know? Share them in the comments.